Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to start your little bit of magic project, and it's going to be a little bit different for beginning art versus art 2, but you will need kind of the same supplies. So what you'll need for this project is some blank paper, okay, sketchbook or blank paper, a pencil and eraser, some pens. So I use micro pens, so they're like really fine tip pens, but you can use regular ink pens if that's what you have. You can use a Sharpie if you want to. I didn't use a Sharpie for this one, but I will use a Sharpie for an example to show you how to get started drawing. You will need not an eraser, a ruler, or something straight to help you draw straight lines. And then the watercolor and paintbrushes are optional. If you have them, then definitely use them because this was a lot of fun. But if you don't have them, then it's not a big deal. Don't worry about them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is a good example of the Art 2 project. So you guys are going to have a little more requirements for your project, and we'll talk about that in class. This is a good start for an Art 1 project. So I'm not quite finished, but this is kind of the steps on how you'll take to get started. So first, obviously, we're drawing some crystals. Crystals have a lot of different values and a lot of different geometric shapes, so it's really interesting and fun and easy to draw. So the way we'll get started is with a pencil drawing. So I drew some crystals with my pencil. Okay, I'm going to show you how to draw some crystals. Sorry about that, with my dog. And then you'll do a contour line drawing or outline of your pencil drawing that you did, and then we will use cross hatching and hatching or pointillism to shade in the different sections of the crystals, because they're all different angles and the light is hitting them in different ways. So the goal of this project is to show as many different values as you can. Okay, have lots of contrast in your crystals and in your drawings. So, how do you draw crystals? Well, I will show you. So, to get started, I'm going to use a Sharpie, but you should start with a pencil. That way, if you mess up, it's easy to erase. Can we see? Yeah, okay. So I'm starting with a ruler and a Sharpie, but you will start with a ruler and a pencil, okay? So I'm going to show you how to draw 3 different types of crystals, and you're welcome to like use your phone or computer and look up how to draw. Just look up crystal line drawings or something simple so it shows you the shapes of each section. So to get started on the first one, I'm using my ruler because I want to use and draw very straight lines. Remember, you want it to be neat, okay? And there's not really any trick to it. You just think very geometric. So I have my first line. I'm gonna go out that way just a little bit. Got me a backwards L. And then we're gonna angle it just a little bit down, kind of like a lightning bolt. And feel free to pause the video. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause it, draw your line with me, and then replay it when you're ready. This is the bottom of my crystal. and then we'll connect it up there at the top. So this is kind of like the outline or the contour drawing of my first crystal. So you can draw this one, or you can look up your own and draw your own. So the insides of the crystals, we really want to just focus on geometric shapes, mostly triangles, pentagons, diamonds, things like that. So I'm just going to start, you know, trying to make some triangles in here and trying to make sense of this shape. So I'm looking for any corners. There, I've already made 2 triangles. Okay, so there's no right or wrong way to do it. You just want to make sure that you keep, you want to do geometric shapes, stuff that has lots of corners inside the crystal. Because crystals aren't really round unless you're drawing like a perfectly round one, you know. So I'm mostly doing triangles, maybe a little diamond shape. Okay, so there, it's done. There's no right or wrong way that you can draw your triangles or your corners or edges of your crystal. Okay, so there's a good example of how you could draw one crystal. I'm going to go ahead and start the next one just so you have another option of, you know, you're going to have to, if you're in Art 1, you're going to have to fill up your paper with crystals and try to shade them in and do the contour drawings. And if you're in Art 2, then you'll also have to try to fill up your paper, but you are going to be thinking more of like a tattoo design. So you'll be including mushrooms and other organic features into it. So you can draw them big or you can draw them small. It's totally up to you as long as your paper is completely full. And I think I'll add just a little and then connect it there at the bottom. Okay, so there's the contour drawing of my second crystal. So same thing for the inside. You want to think geometric shapes, triangles, stuff like that. Okay, so always use your ruler because that's how you're going to get straight lines. So always use your ruler when you're trying to figure out what kinds of cool shapes you could do inside your crystal. And I'm just making them up, really. I'm not really looking at a picture. So who knows if they will end up funny looking, or I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll keep it like that. Maybe one more right here. Yeah, so why not? There's another crystal example, okay? And you can do them as big or as small as you want to. You can draw them this big on your paper, or you can draw a whole bunch that are really close together, or you can do some big and some small. So think of having a lot of variety in your crystals. All right, the next one. The last one I'm going to show you how to do. And if you do look them up online, there are a whole lot more of different types of crystals. You could do a diamond. That's a really popular drawing or a crystal type thing. I think I'm gonna make this a pentagon. Why not? I'm keeping it geometric. Alright, so there's my last crystal. I'm going to show you guys how to draw. Okay, so you should have some of these on your paper in pencil. Alright, So what you're going for is to try to, this is an okay example. I want you to fill up your paper a little more than this. Maybe draw some smaller crystals like in the spaces, the empty spaces, just so it's completely filled up and really cool to look at. So you should have some pencil drawings of some crystals on your paper like these, okay? Once your paper is completely filled up with your pencil drawing, for art 2 with your crystals, mushrooms, nature elements, once you're completely done with your pencil drawing, then you're going to move to your contour line drawing. So it will look like this. This is where you'll use your black pens or your Sharpie, and you're going to just kind of outline or trace over your pencil lines. And this is the really, really important part, where you use your ruler or your straight edge to make sure your lines are perfectly straight. Remember, being neat in your projects is really, really important, okay? So once you have your contour line drawings over all of your pencil lines, then you can erase your pencil lines. Like once I did these lines, I went through and I erased the pencil, and then all you have left is those really nice crispy black pen lines, okay? So I'm not going to erase these yet because I haven't done my contour line over them with my pen, okay? So only when you're completely done outlining can you go back in and erase your pencil lines. If you have watercolor, then this, after your contour lines, this is the time where you will use your watercolor. So let's take a look at my watercolor. Okay, so watercolor is really simple to think about. You're thinking of the ratio between paint and water that you have. When you open up your watercolor set, it's dry. Okay, you're not going to be able to get any paint out of it. So you need a cup of water, and you're mixing water and these paints to get your color on your brush. So getting different values with watercolor is really all about the ratio of water and paint. The more water you have, the lighter the paint's going to come out. It's mostly water. There's mostly no color in it. The more paint you have on the brush and less water, the darker your values are going to be. So you'll get these nice, deep, almost no water in your paintbrush at all. Okay? So if you do have watercolor, then go ahead and after your contour line drawing, then you can go ahead and fill in your crystals and your nature elements with different colors, different values is the most important part. That's what I'm looking for, is to make sure you can show me that you can do some darks and you can do some lights and some tones in between, okay? If you don't have watercolor, then you're going to skip that step and go and keep using your pens, okay? If you don't have anything to color with, then just use black pen. So if you don't have watercolor, then you're going to use these pens to do hatching, cross hatching, and maybe even pointillism if you want to fill in the different sections. So you're trying to make sure that I can see different values in your drawing, in your shading, okay? So that means that to get super, super dark values, like this one, you're gonna put your lines really, really close together. That's like almost fills in all of the white space. That's really dark. The more space you leave between your lines when you're hatching and cross hatching, the lighter the value is going to be. It's still a little darker than just plain white because there's something there. We drew something. We shaded a little bit in. So try to get as many different values as you can by spreading out your lines for a lighter value or pushing those lines really close together for a darker value. Okay? So your goal for Art 1 is to fill your paper with crystals, pencil drawings, then contour, then shading it in. And you're going to shade in all of your crystals on your paper until your paper is full of crystals like these. Ones that have the outline and are completely shaded in and have different values, okay? It's okay to leave some of the space white because that's its own value. White is, you know, a different value than a dark one. If you're doing watercolor, then you will do this step after your watercolor is dry, okay? After you go in and shade your different values with the watercolor, you're gonna let it dry for about 5 or 10 minutes, okay? And it should be pretty dry after that. And then you'll use your pens to go on top of the watercolor and draw these different lines using hatching, cross hatching, and pointillism. So you'll push those values even further, okay? I think that is about it. Yeah, so you guys have fun with this project. Crystals are really cool to draw. And if you do get a chance to use the watercolor, then have a lot of fun with it. It was a lot of fun to try and figure out how to make it kind of fade like a gradient or a value scale from dark to light with some of these, and seeing which colors mesh together with the water was really interesting. So I hope you guys have fun with this project. And remember, if you don't have watercolor or you don't have anything to color with, then just stick with black and white, okay? All right, guys, have fun, and please let me know if you need help.